Welcome to Tales and Travel Adventures. Let's visit Galena, Illinois. Hello, my name is Mary Beth Reidner. I am a retired librarian. In 2008, I developed a program called Tales and Travel. This is the 12th in a series of programs adapting Tales and Travel for online use by groups or individuals. There are two ways to use this program. First, you can just listen and follow along as I read the narrative that accompanies each slide. Or, you or your partner can turn down the volume and use the controls to pause each screen so that you can read the narrative out loud yourself. You might also want to talk with your partner about what you are seeing or about any memories that come to mind. Most people think that Illinois consists of only the city of Chicago and vast, flat fields of corn and soybeans. However, in the northwestern corner of the state, there is a gem of a county with rolling hills and wide vistas, such as this view from Horseshoe Mound Preserve, with an elevation of 1,063 feet. That county is Joe Daviess County and is shown here in red. Wisconsin lies to the north, and the Mississippi River forms its western boundary. Amid these rolling hills is the city of Galena. The name of the town comes from the word galena, the natural mineral form of lead that was mined here in the 1800s. As we drive into Galena, the road is cut into the limestone and chert cliffs. 90% of the lead production in the United States is found in Mississippi River deposits like these. We then cross over the Galena River, which runs through the center of the city. At one time, the river was 200 feet wide and was deep enough for steamboats to ply back and forth to the Mississippi River 4 miles away. Here is the Bed and Breakfast Inn, where we will be staying. It is furnished just like it was in the 1800s. The best way to see the city is on a Galena trolley tour. This is a narrated historic tour that will take us to both sides of the river. Our guide is very knowledgeable, and he is able to navigate the trolley through the narrow, twisting streets of the city that was built in the early 1800s. The wooden seats are a little narrow and uncomfortable, but we will only be on the trolley for an hour. We will start by crossing over the bridge again to the east side of the city. There are many stately homes on these hills above the river. The first one we will see is the Belvedere Mansion, which overlooks the river. This 22-room Italianate house was built in 1857. We're now driving past the old Illinois Central train depot, which was also built in 1857. It is now a visitor's center. On the left is another mansion, which is located across the street from the spacious Grant Park. Let's come back here after the trolley ride to stroll through this park, which overlooks downtown Galena. The highlight of the sights on this side of the river is the home of Ulysses S. Grant. The city of Galena gave it to General Grant after the Civil War ended in 1865. Grant went on to become the 18th President of the United States in 1868. He served for 2 terms during the turbulent Reconstruction period. The trolley is now taking us back across the bridge to the west side of the river and up into the hills above the business district. Here is the old Central High School on Prospect Street. It was rebuilt after a fire in the early 1900s. Now it has been converted to luxury loft apartments. Just down the street is Grace Episcopal Church. Using limestone quarried on the site, the church was completed in 1849. This church is still in use today. Also on Prospect Street is Felt Manor, which was built by a wealthy merchant in 1848. If you follow architectural styles, you will recognize this as an example of Second Empire architecture. The mansard roof was added in 1874. The building is now used as an inn. Be prepared to walk up a lot of stairs to get to the front door. The trolley tour is just about over. As we head back down to the business district, we pass the 100-year-old blacksmith shop and the old market house, built in 1845, which is now the Welcome Center. Let's walk up and down Main Street. Here is the famous DeSoto House Hotel. Abraham Lincoln spoke from its balcony in 1856, followed by Stephen Douglas in 1858. Grant located his 1868 presidential campaign headquarters here. Here is a peek inside the hotel. The spiral staircase in the lobby elicits the feeling of the 1800s. Let's have lunch in the Courtyard restaurant, which is a 4-story atrium in the middle of the hotel. After lunch, let's keep walking past the many shops and restaurants on Main Street. When we reach Diagonal Street, we see Dowling House, the oldest house in Galena. Built in 1826, the first floor was a trading post, and the family lived on the second floor. If you haven't already gotten the idea, there are many steps to climb in hilly Galena. These steps are part of the 252 steps that make up the Washington Street steps. Ulysses S. Grant used them to go back and forth from his home on High Street to work at his family's leather business on Main Street. At that time, the steps were made of wood. The 191 steps on the left lead up to the high school we saw earlier. On the right is what remains of an original cobblestone street. Down by the river, we find the post office, built in 1857, with its mahogany counters and chandeliers. More steps, oh no, will take us up to the top of the levee, which was built to prevent the river from flooding the town. The bridge will take us to Grant Park, where we can take that promised stroll. In the park, we see a statue of President Grant, a gazebo, and a cannon used by the Confederate Army during the opening salvo of the Civil War at Fort Sumter in 1861. On the walk back across the bridge, we get scenic views of the downtown area and the hills above it. That is the old high school with the clock tower in the distance on the left. That's enough walking for me. Let's get back in our car and drive out into the countryside. Here is Chestnut Mountain Resort, where people can ski in the winter. Doesn't the hotel look a little like a Swiss chalet? Even in the summer, people ride the ski lifts up and down the hills. From the top of the mountain, we get an excellent view of the Mississippi River winding away below us. Galena was part of the busy Mississippi River steamboat trade in the 1850s. As many as 15 steamboats could be seen in downtown Galena then. Today, the Galena River is too shallow for steamboats. Samuel Clemens, better known as Mark Twain, described the arrival of a Mississippi River steamboat in his 1883 book, Life on the Mississippi. Can you imagine what Galena would have looked like when the steamboats arrived? Drays, carts, men, boys, all go hurrying from many quarters to a common center, the wharf. Assembled there, the people fasten their eyes upon the coming boat as upon a wonder they are seeing for the first time. And the boat is rather a handsome sight, too. The captain lifts his hand, a bell rings, the wheels stop. Then they turn back, turning the water to foam, and the steamer is at rest. Then such a scramble as there is to get aboard and to get ashore and to take in freight and to discharge freight, all at one and the same time. 10 minutes later, the steamer is underway again. While we don't see many steamboats on the Mississippi River anymore, we might be able to see some barges that need to use the locks, like this one in Dubuque, Iowa, which is 15 miles away from Galena. But I don't see any barges today. Do you? Maybe we should plan another trip to Galena in the winter time. Then we might be able to see bald eagles like this one. The eagles like to fish near the locks because there is usually open water around the locks. Wouldn't it be grand to see an eagle? As we leave Galena, let's sing. I had a little bit of a hard time finding songs about Galena. But since Galena was a mining town, I thought that we could sing an old mining folk song, like, "Oh, my darling Clementine." I will play the melody on my flute, and you can sing along, using the lyrics on the following two screens. You sounded great. If you want to sing the song again, just rewind the recording back a little way. If you are using this program with someone else, the next screen will make some suggestions for starting a conversation about our visit to Galena. Have you ever lived in a hilly town or city? Was it hard to climb the hills? Do you enjoy learning the history of old towns like Galena? What parts of Galena did you find most interesting? The old buildings? The connection to Civil War history? Mississippi River stories, including steamboats? Are there any old towns near you that you would like to explore? I have two more ideas for fun things you can find by first searching the internet for free word search puzzles, and second, searching the internet for free coloring pages. See the next two screens for examples. This is a free word search puzzle that you can find online at this link. If you are artistically inclined, you might enjoy finding free coloring pages online. Try doing a Google search with terms such as free coloring pages. Then copy and paste an image into a word processing document and print it. Thank you for visiting Galena, Illinois with me. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to contact me at my email address. And also, I would appreciate it if you would take a moment to fill out a brief survey about the value of this program. This work can be freely used under the Creative Commons license shown here. Thanks again, and have a wonderful day.